Let's talk about tenses in English language. If we want to start talking about tenses in English language, we have to know first the timeline. The timeline starts from the past time and passes by the present time and continues in the future time. We can easily mark the timeline with the point now, which presents the present time. From the moment that precedes or that is before the now and continues in the past, it represents the past time. And from the moment that follows the now and continues in the future, that represents the future time. So we have three parts of time: the past time, present time, and future time. And for each time, we have an aspect which may be simple, continuous, perfect, perfect, continuous. And the tense in English language, each tense in English language is constituted by the time and the aspect. The time and the aspect. So when we look at the past time, we have three tenses. We have the past simple, past continuous, past perfect, past perfect continuous. And when we look at the present time, we have four tenses, which are present simple, present continuous, present perfect, present perfect continuous. And when we look at the future time, it has four tenses, which are future simple, future continuous, future perfect, future perfect continuous. So again, each English tense has two elements: time and aspect. Time refers to either past, present, or future. An aspect refers to either simple, continuous, perfect, or perfect continuous. For all Arabs or Arabic native speakers, it is not an easy task to master the tenses in English language because system of tenses in Arabic is different. So if we try to use the Arabic system of tenses in English, you would make a grave mistake. As an Arab, the best way to study these 12 tenses is to study them in groups. In other words, we will group those 12 tenses into the following four groups. Group number 1, present simple versus present continuous. Group number 2, past simple versus present perfect versus present perfect continuous. Group number 3, future simple versus future continuous versus future perfect. Group number 4, past continuous versus past perfect. Group number 5, past perfect continuous versus future perfect continuous, which are so rarely used. So I advise you not to study. So we have 12 tenses in English language, and we will cancel present perfect continuous and future perfect continuous because, as I told you, they are rarely used. So we will focus our attention on only 10. So let's start with talking about present simple versus present continuous. First, present simple. Actually, present simple is used when we want to talk about a fact, a habit, or a regular action. So we have here fact, habit, and regular action. Fact, habit, a regular action. For example, if we say that Mona writes books, that's a fact which is always true about Mona. Mona writes books. If I say Mona always writes books, that's a habit. And if I say Mona writes books, or Mona writes 3 books every year, so that is a regular action. So we can understand that the use of the verb in the present simple tense means that the action covers all parts of time, past, present, and future. Again, when we use present simple, the action of the verb or the use of the verb in the present simple tense means that the action covers all parts of time, past, present, and future. When I say Mona writes books, so Mona wrote books in the past, and Mona is writing books in the present, and Mona will continue writing books in the future. Also, when we talk about Mona always writes books, and Mona writes books, Mona writes 3 books every year. That's in the past, and that's in the present, and that's in the future. So using present simple emphasizes that the verb of the sentence is in the past, in the present, and in the future. So we can figuratively say the present simple tense is all time tense. Is all time tense. As we see that we can use an indefinite adverb of frequency with present simple tense to indicate habit. It comes after the verb to be, and it comes before all action verbs and other state verbs like the verb seem. Okay, we say Mona writes books, and we say Mona always writes books. Mona always writes books. So always comes just before the what, just before the main verb. And if the main verb is verb to be, it comes after verb to be. It comes after the verb to be. Okay? But for all verbs, even state verbs like seem, it comes before the main verb. We can say, for example, so we have Mona is always kind. Okay, we see that always here comes after the verb to be. Is here is, which is verb to be, is the main verb of the sentence. So always comes after verb to be. Mona always seems beautiful. So always here came before the main verb seems. Okay, Mona always writes 3 books. So always comes before the main verb writes. Okay, Always only comes after the verb to be if the main verb to be, on one condition, if verb to be is the main verb of the sentence. Okay? Sometimes we have, indefinite adverbs of frequency like always. We have sometimes. We have usually. We have often. We have occasionally, hardly, hardly ever, seldom, rarely, never, and they all of them follows the same positioning or the same location as always. Okay, so but we have something special about sometimes and usually. We have something special about sometimes and usually. We can start a sentence using sometimes, and we say, sometimes we watch horror movies. And we can say always, usually, I go to the mall. So here sometimes and usually can come at the beginning of the sentence. Can come at the beginning of the sentence. That is special for sometimes and usually. If you used other indefinite adverbs of frequency like always or rarely or seldom and never at the beginning of the sentence before the subject, okay, it will sound very, very, very unnatural. Very unnatural. You can say, for example, always we watch horror movies. We don't say this. Native speakers do not say this. The native speakers, when you use indefinite adverb of frequency, in this case, in the present simple, they can bring only sometimes and usually. Sometimes and usually they bring sometimes and usually and be at the beginning of the sentence. Then you put comma, then you start with your, then you put your sentence. Okay, so all of the indefinite adverbs of frequency with verb with present simple, they come before, just before the main verb of the sentence, except for verb to be, they come after it. Okay, and in a special case, sometimes and usually can come at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, other indefinite adverbs of frequency do not come at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, so what about the definite adverb of frequency? As we said before, that a definite adverbs of frequency come after the what. They can come after the what. So Mona, we say, Mona writes 3 books every year. We have every year here. Every year cannot come before writes. Cannot come, not like always and other indefinite adverbs of frequency. Every year is a definite adverb of frequency that comes after the what. And in a complete sentence, it comes after the where and before the when, as we said before in the sentence structure and the multiple adjective, multiple adverb order. Okay? So, as we know, when the subject in the present simple, if the subject is singular, we normally add s to the base form of the verb. For example, we say Mona writes books, and we add es, Mona, we say Mona writes books. And sometimes we add es to the verb that ends in sh, ch, sso, or it ends with an x, as in page 76. We say Muna always watches. Muna always watches movies. Mona kisses her father every day. Mona goes to school. Mona often fixes broken tools. Okay, we can see we put es if the verb ends with ch. Okay, ch, also sh. Mona usually washes her hands. So we put es after if the verb ends with ch. We put es after when the verb ends in ss. We put es when the verb ends with o. We put es when the verb ends with x. Okay, and if the verb ends in constant letter plus y, we change the y into ies. Okay, but if the verb ends in a vowel plus y, we just add an s to it. For example, Mona carries heavy things. Carries here carries here, it was originally carry. Then we change it because the verb ends with a y preceded by a constant letter. We change it the y into ies, like the bird flies in the sky. Here the verb fly ends the original verb fly ends with a y. When it comes in the present simple, we change the y into ies. And if the verb ends with a y preceded by a vowel letter like y, okay, we add only s. Like for example, the verb buy. We say Mona buys burger. And as you know, if the subject is plural, we keep the base form of the verb. We do not add anything. Like Mona and I, for example, Mona and I, we have here a plural subject. Visit our mother every week. That's what we want to say about present simple. Present simple is in, you can find present simple on page 74, 75, and 76, and also 77. Okay, let's talk about present. If we want to talk about present continuous, we must have a good understanding of the difference between the use of present continuous versus present simple. And the main difference is that present simple expresses a fact, a habit, a regular action that is represented in the past, okay, and in the present and in the future. It's all time tense. That's a present simple. It's all time tense. All time tense. Okay. However, present continuous, present we use present continuous for if we want to express a present contemporary action, a present contemporary action. Okay. So we can say that we use present continuous tense in the following cases. The first one, when we want to express an activity that is happening at the time being, now, or at this moment, at this or at this instant. For example, Soha is watching a movie now. Now, at the time being, at this moment, at this instant. Okay. Second, when we want to express an activity that is happening in the present but not necessarily happening in the moment of speaking. For example, I can say this year I am preparing for my IELTS exam. Okay, in this example, I used this year. I mean that this year here is my present moment. It's like now. Now is a thin moment, but this year is a thick moment. And in both cases, you are in the mood of present continuous. You are expressing an activity that is happening in the present. Okay, but it's not necessarily happening in the present now, or at this moment, or at this instant, considering this as a thin present moment. We can use thick present moment, like these days, these weeks, these months, okay, this year, these years. We are still in the mood of present continuous because we are expressing an action that is temporary. It has nothing to do with the future and has nothing to do with the past. Okay, that's why we say that we use present continuous in order to express a temporary activity in the present. We can say he is a physician, a doctor, but he is working in a pharmacy until he finds a place in a hospital. Okay, so present continuous, we use the present continuous tense in order to express actions that are temporary, that are performed in the present moment. Either the present moment is thin, like now, or like now, at this moment, or at this instant, or at the time being, or it is a thick present moment, like these weeks, these days, these months, these years, this year, this week, and so on. Okay. Number 4, which is a peculiar or strange use of verb present continuous, when the present continuous is accompanied by a future time marker. Like when I say I am meeting my friends tomorrow. Here I use the present continuous. I am meeting my friends. Here is the present continuous with a future time marker like tomorrow that expresses actions. We use this format where we use the present continuous of the future time marker if we want to express a planned future activity, and we have a strong will to do it. I am meeting my friends tomorrow. It means I have a plan and I am totally determined. I have determination that I will meet my friends tomorrow. And in this way, we can say, I am meeting my friends tomorrow. It means that I have a strong will and strong determination that tomorrow I will meet my friends. We can say, I am meeting my friends tomorrow. Okay? And this use of present continuous with future time marker is only in the informal voice or in the informal tune. So that is informal. So we cannot use it in academic English. We can't use this in academic English. Okay, that is totally informal use of present continuous. Okay, and when we want to just reflect on how the verb ends in the present continuous, the general rule is that we add ing to the base form of the verb, like eat, eating, watch, watching. But if the verb ends in an e, we remove the e, like write, writing, make, making, give, giving. If the verb ends in double e, we don't remove the e, like see, seeing, agree, agreeing. If verbs or in verbs that are formed of only one syllable, like get, run, stop, plain, okay, you can notice that they are short in pronunciation. That's why we say that they have one syllable. It means one vocal sound. Get, run, stop, plan. So that those verbs are short in pronunciation. And with those verbs, when we put them in the present continuous, we just double the last letter. So when we say get, it's getting. I use a double end letter. The end letter here is doubled. Okay, like get, stop, stopping. Okay, plan, planning. So another one, like run, running. So we add when we use verbs with short pronunciation like get, stop, plan, run, in the present continuous, when we add ing, we also double the final letter. Okay. But if the verb, that we have an exception here, if the verb is short also, it's a one syllable verb, it means if the verb that has short pronunciation, if it ends in y or w, we don't double the final letter. Like for example, play is a verb with short pronunciation. Play, one syllable, one vocal sound, play. When we put it into the present continuous, when we use it with the present continuous, we say playing. Ahmed is playing tennis now. So we don't duplicate the y. We don't duplicate the y because the original verb is okay. Although the original verb has short pronunciation, it means one syllable verb, but we do not double the final y, and also we do not double the final w. We have show, so showing. We do not double w, we do not double y, we do not double w. Okay. Okay. Talking about the present continuous, it's very important. It's ultimately important to know that the state and the stative verbs are used in the present continuous in a strange manner or in an unexpected manner. You know, first you know what are state and stative verbs. State and stative verbs. In the first lectures we had an idea about state and stative verbs, and we say state verbs are like verb to be. Okay, they are also always followed by an adjective or something, or a noun functioning as an adjective, or a group of words functioning as adjectives. Okay, stative verbs are originally action verbs, but they are not non-dynamic. They lack action, or they lack dynamicity. Okay, they are non-dynamic. Okay, like I think, for example, and so on. Like think, that understand, like know, like realize, like believe, like doubt, remember, forget, imagine, suppose, expect, deserve, prefer. Those are verbs of thinking. Verbs of emotions like love, like, hate, wish, hope, want, need, care. Verbs of possession or possession. Verbs of possession like have, own, possess, belong, contain, depend on, come from. Those are verbs of possession. And those verbs are like state verbs. They don't take present continuous. When we use them to express present continuous, when I want to put them in the present continuous, they do not take the present continuous format at all. Okay, we say currently, for example, we say currently, it's like at the time being, it's equal to at the time being. Currently I like coffee. We don't say currently or at the time being or now or at this moment I am liking coffee, because like is a stative verb, it's a non-dynamic verb. Okay, we don't say currently I'm liking black coffee. Okay, another example, when we say at this moment this car belongs to Mona. Belongs is also stative verb, and both state and the stative verbs do not take present continuous format, even though we are talking about the present. We are talking about the present continuous. Okay, so also verb to be. Let's use verb to be. We cannot say We cannot say Ahmed is being kind. We can say now Ahmed is kind. We cannot say Ahmed is being kind. Okay? So for the verb seem, we can say at this moment the girl looks beautiful. We can say the girl is looking beautiful. We can say this. Even we are talking about, or we are in the mood of present continuous. So when we talk about the state, when we use state verbs like verb to be and verbs of the senses, seem, look, look, appear, taste, sound, feel, or a state of verbs which are like action verbs in that they have object, but they don't take, but they are like state verbs. They don't take present continuous. Okay. The surprise, prepare yourself for a surprise here. Some of these verbs, some of the stative verbs can be used in the present continuous tense. But when they are used in the present continuous tense, they change their meaning. Their meaning will change, will completely change, because at this moment they will express activity. For example, that's the difference when I say I think that she is a good person. We can sometime remove that, and I say I think that she is a good person. It means here I believe that she is a good person. Okay? In my opinion, she is a good person. Okay? But when I say I am thinking of a cup of coffee now. So I'm thinking of a cup of coffee now. Here, thinks doesn't mean believe. It means that we are in an active process of thinking. I am totally engaged in a thinking process, which can be considered dynamic process. So thinking here, or think here, is an action verb, and it means that I am engaged in thinking about something. It doesn't mean that I believe. It's not like it's not like this example. I think that she is a good person. It means I believe that is a good person. Here, think means I believe, and in this example, it is, think is a stative verb which doesn't take the present continuous format. Okay? For example, another example. The dog smells bad. This is smells here is a state verb. It's like verb to be. State verbs, all state verbs by definition don't take the present continuous format, even though we are in the present continuous tense. For example, the dog smells bad now. So now here indicates that we are in the present continuous mood, but here smells didn't take the present continuous format. But what about if I say the dog is smelling? Now here the process of smelling. For example, the dog is smelling badly, or the dog is smelling a cat. In those examples, the dog is smelling badly or the dog is smelling a cat, that is an action verb, the process of smelling. But so when in the first sentence, in this sentence, the dog smells bad now, okay, we have smells here. It's an state verb because it's followed by an adjective. It's a state verb and doesn't take the present continuous format. Okay, so that's. Guys, let's tackle second the past simple versus present perfect. And let's start with the past simple. We use the past simple tense when we want to do the following. First, to express a completed or finished action in the past. We can also specify the point of time at which the action was completed or finished. Okay, again, so we use the past simple when we express or when we talk about a completed or finished action in the past. And we have in this or at this moment, we have an opportunity to specify the point of time in the past at which the action was completed or finished. When we say Muna met Ahmed, so Muna met Ahmed, this action was completed in the past, so that's a past that's why we use the past simple. And at this moment or in this context, using the past simple, we can specify the moment at which the moment in the past at which this action was completed, and we can say Muna met Ahmed in 2014. Okay, another example. Yasser visited USA. So we can understand, we can stop the sentence here, and we can understand this action, the action of visiting USA by Yasser. This action was completed in the past, and we have here, using the past simple, we have an opportunity to specify the moment in the past in which the action was completed and say last year. Another example. My brother left the house, and we can stop. My brother left the house. We can understand here that the action was completed in the past. And also we have, using the past simple, we can also specify the point at which the action was completed and say 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago, and so on. Okay. Also, past simple can be used to express many actions which followed each other in the past. Again, the past simple can be also used to express many actions which followed each other in the past. So we can say, last weekend Yasmin woke up early and washed her face. She ate her breakfast quickly. She said hi to her father and then she drove her car to the gym. What do you think about this example? That's a great example. So we used here the past simple in order to express many actions that all of them happened in the past, one after the other. Last weekend, what happened? What happened last weekend? Yasmin woke up early and washed her face. She ate her breakfast quickly. She said hi to her father and then she drove her car to the gym. So we can use the past simple to express many actions. All of them happened in the past, one after the other. For all of them, we can use the past simple. Okay? Also, we can use the past simple to express a past habit or a past situation. Again, we can use the past simple to express a past habit or a past situation. For example, we can say, my brother and I, that's the subject. And in English, we do not say me and my brother like we say in Arabic. أنا وأخويا. We don't say this in English. In English, we introduce the one with us. If I am the speaker, okay, I introduce the one with me, and I say my brother and I, my family and I, my sister and I, my friend and I, my friends and I, and so on. We don't say my friend and me and my friend, because here we are talking about the subject. And I ask my fellow Egyptians, why do you say me and my friend? Me is an object. Me is an object pronoun. Why you bring me at the beginning of the sentence and at the same time you bring me before the one with you? So that's a double mistake. Okay? In English, we say my brother and I, my family and I, my friends and I, and so on. Okay, my brother and I, the subject, used to watch horror movies when we were young. So my brother and I used to watch horror movies when we were young. See here the verb used to watch, a habit in the past. When we want to express a habit in the past, we say used to and the verb. Okay? So you can imagine something that you used to do in the past, and you can say, I used to wake up early. I used to wake up early. It means that was my habit in the past. But now it doesn't exist. Okay, I don't do this in the present, but in the past I used to do this, but now this habit isn't present. Okay, another example. When I was a child, we lived in a small apartment. Every weekend, I visited my grandma and played with my cousins. So you can feel that we are talking here about habits in the past. When I was a child, that indicates the past. When I was a child, so I will be talking here about the past. So what habits I used to do in the past? We lived. That's a habit here. Okay, it's not necessary to use the to in the verb. Here we are talking about, we have the sense of a habit here. We lived in a small apartment. It means we used to live in a small apartment every weekend. That's a habit in the past. Every weekend in the past. I visited my grandma and played with my cousins. It means every weekend in the past, I used to visit my grandma, and I used to play with my cousins, and I used to visited and played. It's not necessary to use the to, the verb, because here we have the sense of I want to make the person in front of me understand that that was a habit in the past. When I was a child, we lived in a small apartment. It equals to we used to live in a small apartment. So you have the opportunity to say we lived in a small apartment, or we used to live in a small apartment. Every weekend in the past, that's in the past, every weekend, but that is connected with when I was a child. So every weekend when I was a child, that's the meaning of it. I visited my grandma. I used to visit my grandma and played with my friend. I used to play with my friends. Okay, so we use past simple in order to express past habit or a past situation. Okay, also we use the past simple in order to talk about things that are still true in the present with a focus on past situation. Again, we use past simple in order to talk about things that are still true in the present. They are still true in the present, but we have a focus on a past situation. Still true in the present with a focus on a past situation. For example, Yahya applied to join the police academy, but he was short. He wasn't tall enough to join the police academy. Yahya applied to join the police academy, but he was short. Here Yahya is still short in the present, and that is a true fact about him. But the focus here is on a past situation in which he applied to join the police academy. That's why we said, but he was short. Okay, instead of saying, but he is short, we don't say he is short. Okay, so he was short, it means that that is a reality about him. He's still short in the present, but the focus here is on the moment when he applied to join the police academy in the past. That's why native speakers say Yahya applied to join the police academy, but he was short. Okay, they don't say but he is short, although logically he is short in the time being. He's still short in the time being, but as I said before, we can use past simple in order to talk about things that are still true in the present with focus on a past situation. That's why we said he was short, although he is still short in the present. We said he was short because the focus was on a past situation in which Yahya applied to join the police academy. Okay, another example on the same point, we say we met nice tourists last week, and they were from Dubai. And I said they were. They are still in fact, they are still from Dubai. They are still from Dubai. In fact, that is a fact even in the present. Okay? But I used were, not are, because that is related to a situation in the past in which we met them. That's why we say we met nice tourists last week and they were from Dubai, not they are from Dubai. Take care of this on the exam day. Okay? Talking about the past simple, we have some expressions, sometime expressions that we usually use with the past simple. For example, I did something. When I say I did something, I can say I did something yesterday, or yesterday evening, yesterday evening. It means in the last part of yesterday, in the last part of the day. I did something yesterday, I did something yesterday evening, I did something last I did something last week. I did something 3 days ago. I did something in 1982. In winter or winter, both are correct. Or I did something when I was young. Or I did something when I visited USA. You can see here every time I use a time expression. A time expression. We use time expression in order to specify the moment at the past in which the action was completed. Okay. I think I don't need to tell you more about how the verb ends in the past simple. You know that the general rule is to add ed to the base form of the verb. Okay. But there are a little bit of some points to point here, like the verb care. We don't put a ed. Care, we just add a d. So cared, for example. A hate, we just add a d, not ed, because the verb ends in e already. Okay, so hated, we say hated. Okay. In verbs that contain only one syllable with one vowel and one consonant at the end of the verb, the consonant is double. For verbs like plan, this verb has a short pronunciation. The same, you remember the present continuous when we talked about plan, when we say planning, so we put the double in. So the same is here with the present simple when we add ed. So that's why we say in verbs that contain only one syllable with one vowel and one syllable, it means short, very short pronunciation. One vowel like a, plan. And one consonant at the end of the verb, which is n. Okay, so when we add an ed in the past simple, we double the n, we double the last consonant. Plan, plant. Okay. Stop, we add the ed, so we double, because a stop is a verb, short vowel, without short vowel, short pronunciation, one vowel which is o, stop, which is o, and final consonant. That's why when we add ed, we double the consonant. We say stopped, stopped. Okay. So what about if the verb ends with a y or w, as we saw in the present continuous? Like, for example, play. That's a verb, short vowel with a short one syllable, short vowel. Okay, short pronunciation, one syllable, short pronunciation. It has one vowel, which is play, a, and it ends in y. Okay. When we add ed, we do not double the y. We say played. Also, with a show, the verb ends here with w. We do not double the w when we add ed. We say showed. Okay. We can also say about in most verbs that contain two syllables, verbs with two syllables, the consonant at the end of the verb is doubled if the stress of pronunciation was on the last syllable. For example, prefer. This is a verb with two syllables. Pre-fer, two syllable, two sounds. Pre, that's one syllable. Fer, that's second syllable. Okay. Add, met. Add, first syllable. Met, second syllable. So in verbs that contain two syllables, the consonant at the end of the verb, which is in prefer, the r in prefer, and t in admit, is doubled. But before you double it, make sure that the pronunciation is a little bit more focused more focused on the second syllable. Here, listen to me. when I pronounce prefer, prefer, so the focus is on fair. Admit, so the focus is on met. In this case, we double the final consonant. We say preferred, double R, and admitted, double T. Okay, that's great. What about if the verb ends in Y, but the Y is preceded by a consonant, like marry? The verb here has the Y preceded by مسبوقة ب R. So when we add the ed, the Y is transferred into IED. The Y is flipped into I, and we add the ed, married. Okay, like carry. The Y here is preceded by R. When I add the ed, we flip the Y into, the Y is flipped into I, then we add a ed. Okay. Also, I will not mention irregular verbs because, as you know, I asked you to memorize by heart the irregular verbs. To memorize the irregular verbs by heart. When I told you that irregular verbs, the table of irregular verbs, I told you to memorize the irregular verbs by heart at the end of the fundamentals in our academic English book. Okay, so we know about irregular verbs. That's very important for the exam. Okay, that's the present, that's the past. Now let's talk about present perfect. As we have agreed that we will be comparing past simple with present perfect. When should we use present perfect? We use present perfect when we want to express or tell about a completed action in the past, but it has traces in the present. So present perfect is used to express completed action in the past, but yet it has traces. Traces means author in the present. So it's in the first part we say that present perfect expresses or is used to express a completed action in the past. It's in this part it is like the present simple, because present perfect is like present perfect is like past simple, in that both of them can express a completed action in the past, but we use a present perfect only when the completed action in the past has traces in the present. Okay? This completed action may be in the near past or may be in the far past. No problem. No problem. The completed action either in the near past or the far past, it's no problem. The most important thing that it has traces in the present. أثار في الحاضر. Okay? That's why when I say Hiba has got, has lost, Hiba has lost some weight. It means the action of losing weight by Hiba was completed in the past, but there are traces of this action in the present, maybe in the form of that she became thin. Okay? When I say Ahmed has studied pharmacy, it means that the action of studying pharmacy, okay, was done by Ahmed in the past, but in the present there may be traces of this action, maybe in the form of memories or some experience he has because he studied pharmacy. Maybe he has some information about drugs and he can prescribe some OTC medications. Okay, so when we use present perfect, we want to tell people that the action was completed in the past, but it has traces in the present. Okay, the present perfect is different from the past simple or the use of present perfect to express a completed action in the past is different from the present simple in that the present perfect is used to express completed action in the past that have traces in the present. That's one thing. Another thing is that with the use of present perfect, we do not or we cannot specify the point of time in the past at which the action was completed. On the other hand, the use of past simple, with the use of past simple, we can specify the point of time in the past in which the action was completed. When I say I ate chocolate 2 hours ago, but I can't say I have eaten chocolate 2 hours ago. That's wrong. Okay? So with present simple, we cannot specify the point of action, the point of time in the past in which the action was completed. Okay? I can't say, it's wrong to say, Ahmed has studied pharmacy in 2005. We cannot say this. Instead, we say Ahmed studied pharmacy in 2005. We use the past simple when we specify the point of time in the past in which the action was completed. Okay? So present perfect is all the time deprived from, mahrum min, the mention of the point of time in the past in which the action was completed. Okay? So native speakers, when they use present perfect and they want to just to refer to when the action was roughly completed in the past, so they can use some words like just, recently, already, just to refer or just to give a small and simple idea that the action was completed in the near past rather than in the far past. See, again, when the native speakers use those three words, they do not specify the point of time in the past in which the action was completed, like the past simple. No, they just roughly give a simple or faint idea, non-specified idea, فكرة غير محددة, about when the action was completed. Is it in the near past or in the far past? When they use just, already, or recently, they refer that this action was completed in the near past rather than in the far past. When they want to tell you that this action was in the far past, they don't use just, recently, nor already. When they want to express the action that was completed in the near past, they use those three words. For example, when I say I have just read the story, I have just read the story, it means that the completed action was in the past, okay, and it has traces in the present, and it was completed in the near future. When I say I have recently read the story, it means that the completed action of reading the story was in the past, and it has traces in the present, and the action happened in the near future. I have already read the story. It means that the action was completed in the past, but has some traces in the present, and the action was completed in the near future. Okay? And that is simply the most important difference between the use of past simple and the past perfect to express actions that were done in the past. Both of them can be used to express actions that were done in the past, but actually the details of the use of each one of them is different. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Let's meet together. Now, let's talk about past simple and present perfect versus present perfect continuous. As we know that past simple and present perfect are used to express actions completed actions in the past. Okay, both of them, the past simple and present perfect, are used to express completed actions in the past, and we know the difference between past simple, the use of past simple and present perfect, when to use past simple and when to use present perfect, when we listen to a native speaker, so we can differentiate what does he mean, what he means when he uses past simple rather than present perfect, or when he uses present perfect rather than past simple. So now you have full understanding of the difference between them. But let's here tackle the difference between both of them and present perfect continuous. When we use present perfect continuous, we express actions that started in the past. Actions started in the past and still going on in the present. Okay? Actions that started in the past and is still going on in the present. Just to mention here a small note that I said actions started in the past and still going on in the present, with no reference or indication to whether the verb or this action will continue in the future or not, just in the present, just till the time being. And I will use this afterwards or after a while. Okay, this piece of information. So we all agree now that present perfect continuous is used by native speakers when they want to express actions started in the past and still going on in the present till the present moment. no indication to whether the verb will continue in the future or not. Okay? Okay, so for example, Hiba has been studying, and we use has been studying. That's the format of the present perfect continuous. Has or have been plus the verb ing. Hiba has been studying chemistry. Okay? It means that she started this action in the past. And she is still studying chemistry in the present. But using present perfect continuous necessitates or entails يستلزم تحديد المدة الزمنية, specifying the duration of time, or specifying the point of time in the past at which the action started. Again, the present perfect continuous or the use of present perfect continuous necessitates or entails يستلزم the mention of the duration of time, either the point of time at which the action started in the past, or the duration of time between the present moment and the past moment at which the action started. That's why we use either since to specify the point of time, or we use for and we bring duration of time. So we can start the sentence again saying that Hiba has been studying chemistry since 2011, or for, then subtract the present moment from the past moment. اطرح النقطة اللي بدأ عندها والنقطة اللي ايه الحالية. يبقى من 2011 لحد دلوقتي, from 2011 till now we have around 9 years, for 9 years. So Hiba has been studying chemistry since 2011, or for 9 years, Okay? We can also use since, and we use the state. For example, Hiba has been studying chemistry since she joined Faculty of Science. So Hiba has been studying chemistry since منذ, بدل ما أقول, instead of saying for example here a number, which for example 2011, this in 2011 it's equal to the time when she joined the Faculty of Science. So either I say Hiba has been studying chemistry since 2011, or I say since she joined the Faculty of Science, because she joined, what I understand here is that she joined Faculty of Science in 2011. Okay? That's, guys, the present perfect continuous. I want also to grab your attention to the use of verb to be, state verbs, and the stative verbs in present perfect continuous. You remember that when we mentioned that the state verbs and stative verbs are not used in present continuous, even though we are in the present perfect continuous mood. Even though we are in the present perfect continuous mood, we don't use the present sorry. Even though we are in the present continuous mood, we don't use the present continuous format with the state verbs and the stative verbs. Instead, we use the present simple format. Okay? Likewise, likewise, state verbs and stative verbs, we don't with them, we don't use present perfect, we don't use present perfect continuous format, even though we are in the present perfect continuous tense. So, in the present perfect continuous tense, state verbs and stative verbs do not take the present perfect continuous format. Instead, they take the present perfect format. Guys, after finishing talking about two very important and most problematic at the same time, most important groups, present simple versus present continuous, and past simple versus present perfect versus present perfect continuous, here is some peculiar use of tenses. Here is a very important point, a combination that we cannot, that many of non-native English speakers don't understand, and they fall in the trap of bad understanding of the following combination. The following combination I'm talking about is the use of present perfect with since and for. You know that since and for are used with the present perfect continuous, okay? But when we use since and for with present perfect, okay, it doesn't give, it gives a meaning that has nothing to do with the present perfect or with the use of since and for. It gives you a different, or it gives you a new use of tense. When I say I have worked as an English lecturer since 2011, here I want to say to the person in front of me, I have worked. I want to say that I started this action in the past, okay, and still going on in the present, and will continue in the future. Will continue. That's why this format, which is present perfect plus censor for, is different from present perfect continuous, in that with the use of this form we indicate that this action may continue in the future. And that's the difference between when I say I have worked as an English teacher since 2011. It means that I started the action in the past, I'm still doing this action in the present, and I may continue this action in the future. But if I said I have been, but someone says Amr has been working as a waiter since 2000 since 2015. It means that Amr started this action in the past and is still doing this action, and he is still doing this action in the present, but with no indication or with no mentioning of or with no indication that this action may or may not continue in the future. Now, guys, let's talk about the past continuous tense versus the past perfect tense. We'll start with the past continuous. The past continuous, as many of us know, that the past continuous used when you want to express an action that was happening at certain point in the past. Again, the past continuous tense is used to express or to talk about an action that was happening at a certain point in the past. In that sense, there will be no reference to when it is started or when it is finished. يعني احنا ملناش دعوة هو بدأ امتى ولا انتهى امتى. مفيش اي اشارة في ال past continuous tense لما بستخدم ال past continuous tense ان هو when the action was started or when the action finished. We don't know. We just focus on a certain point in the past at which an action was continuous. An action was continuous. For example, when I say in 1992, which is a point of time in the past, I say Ahmed was living in KSA, Saudi Arabia. So that's the point of that's a point of time in the past, the point in the past, and there is an action that was happening. When it started, I didn't tell. When it's finished, I didn't tell. What I said is in 1992, Ahmed was living in KSA. So here, with the use of past continuous tense, the focus is on a certain point in the past at which an action was completed. There is no indication about when it is started or when it is finished. We focus only on the action that was happening at a certain point in the past. For example, I can replace in 1992 with the past simple and say when I was young, I was living in KSA. Again, this is the point of time in the past. This is a point of time in the past when I was young. It's for example, I can when was you young? For example, in 1992. So when I was young, I was living in KSA. And when I was young, I was living. So this is the point of time in the past. So you can express the point of time in the past using past simple, like when I was young. It represents the point of time in the past. Or you can tell specifically about the point of time in the past and you say in 1992. Okay? I want you to care in this point. And because of this, because of that, the past continuous tense expresses expresses an action that was happening at a certain point in the past. It is different from the past simple tense. The past simple tense is used to express an action that was completed in the past. If you say in 1992, Ahmed studied, for example, English. It means that in this point, at this point of time in the past, the action of studying English by Ahmed was completed. And that is different from in 1992, Ahmed was studying English. Here I want to say that the action of studying English was continuous during this period, or over this period of time, that 1992. In 1992, at this point of time, which may be thick point of time, there was an action happening, which is Ahmed was studying English. That's a very important point to differentiate between the use of past continuous and past simple. Okay? Okay. You can say, for example, you can tell this sentence in a different way and use while. That's the most common word or the most common conjunction used with the past continuous. So you can say this sentence in a different way using while. And when you use while, you bring after it the past continuous and say while I was living. While I was living in KSA, I was young. Another example. Imagine that your mother called you. Imagine that your mother called you and you were watching a movie. So my mother called me while I was watching the movie. I can start with while and say while I was watching the movie, what happened? My mother called me. Okay? Sometimes we put as instead of while, so they can be used interchangeably. Okay? That's all about past continuous. We can also, let's us give also another example. I was playing games yesterday. So at this point of time, so what is the meaning here? That at this point of time in the past, I was playing games. When did I start? You cannot say. From this sentence, you cannot figure out or know when I started or when I finished. But you can understand that the only thing that you can understand that at this point of time, yesterday, something was happening which was playing games by me. Okay. But when it comes to past perfect, the point of time in the past, that's the timeline, that's the now. And we have here a point of time in the past. For example, let's say 2011. So I want to express an action that finished before 2011. For example, this action may be working as a pharmacist. So I can say that when I want to say قبل 2011, before 2011, we don't say before 2011. Native speakers usually use by 2011, comma, I had worked as a pharmacist. So in this sentence, I understand that before this time, an action was completed. This point of time is in the past. And the past of the past is the past perfect. The past of the past is the past perfect. And the pattern of past perfect had verb in the past participle. Okay? As we know that we can express point in the past, point of time in the past, we can express it by actions or state verbs. And I can say, but here we cannot say by, we say before. Before, for example, I joined SIT college. I had worked as a pharmacist. It means that there was two actions in the past. One of them happened before the other. The first thing, I joined SIT college. After that, I had worked. The first action here was working as a pharmacist, and I finished this action, which is working as a pharmacist, before I started an action which is joined SIT college. Okay. That's the use when we wanted to use after, so I will change the order. After I had worked as a pharmacist, comma, I joined SIT college, and so on. That's why that's called the past perfect, when I want to express two actions happened in the past, completed in the past, but one of them was completed before the other.